everyone. Welcome to the Micon Podcast. I am Sheung Okimbaloye. The Tinubu-led government is 2 years in, but there is already plenty to unpack, from governance to the evolving drama of party politics. So let's take it one at a time. Governance. President Tinubu's time in office so far is marked by policy changes, which includes the removal of few subsidies and the unification of the exchange rate. These have come with huge economic impact on the people. His administration has also faced challenges such as rising inflation and cost of living. Now, politics. As expected, in any democracy, interest in the presidency is already heating up. Some old allies and long-time rivals are aligning, building a coalition aimed at ensuring that President Tinubu serves only one term and perhaps, as they promised, they will return into Lagos to retirement. So how does the president navigate the twin pressures of governance and political survivor? I dare say, politically speaking, this is the earliest in my over 20 years of journalism and over a decade of covering politics, the earliest that you'll find any politicking ahead of the next election. So, interesting scenario playing out, especially with a recent survey conducted by an African Polling Institute, which is saying that between 79% to 83% of Nigerians express little or no trust in the President Bola Tinubu-led executive, the National Assembly, and the judicial arms of government, invariably saying that there is some kind of debate as to the performance, the believability, and the trust in the government. There are even members of the ruling party who say they can see the storm from afar. Our guest today is someone deeply involved in shaping the administration's narrative, a senior journalist, a former Minister of Youth and Sport, and currently the Special Advisor on Media and Public Communications to President Bola Tinubu. We have R.S. Sunday Dare. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sean, for having me.
Thank you so much indeed. It's good to see you.
Interesting time.
How does it feel? I mean, you having to speak in the most difficult, tough period of our political history.
Yeah, but Sean, there have been more difficult times before. When you look at the political journey of this country, I'm speaking about the era of military dictatorship. In the political trajectory of this country, we've had periods like this, intervening periods like this. And we have seen leaders rise up to the occasion. We've seen journalists, we've seen the civil society, we've seen pro-democracy activists rise up. So what we're witnessing right now is a continuation of nation building, of consensus building, of building a democratic culture for our people. So I don't see it as extraordinary, because wherever you have a government, whether it's new or outgoing, these issues will play up. Nigeria, 230 million people, 6 geopolitical regions, and I can go on and on. 540 languages spoken in this country. A lot of political alignments, realignments taking place. And then a country that has huge untapped potentials that need to be unlocked. And I tell you, to unlock these potentials, you need a leader that is courageous, that is bold. To open up those taps, you can't make omelette without breaking eggs. And leaders do break eggs to move forward.
And the omelette and the egg seems to be in jeopardy right now. It feels like something is slipping away from the reins of the control of politically speaking.
Nothing is slipping away. It is a question of perception. And I bring this up often, and that's because it's very apt. On both sides, I can see the cup half empty. You can see the cup half full, and we can have a rational.
What is it right now? Is it half empty or half full?
That cup is half full. And
for the rich and the mighty?
No.
For the average and the poor person in Nigeria?
When you look at governance, you look at it from the point of view of national development, and then you granularize it to individual benefits. You cannot sacrifice one for the other. You have to, it's a balancing act. So we have an administration under President Bola Tinubu that is looking at the question of national development. What are the issues that have bedeviled the national development of this country? And we know the issues. For decades, we have skirted around them conveniently. Then you look at the granularized aspect of it. What will be the benefits to the people? And then what sacrifices will have to be made to be able to get this country going forward? We're not even talking about getting us to where we need to be. And I'm telling you, we've been stuck in subsidy removal debate for so long. You also know that we had a period where this country was consumed by the subsidy scam. And we watched it on television. Oftentimes, memories can be very short. We saw several Nigerians, close to 50 or even more, who had ripped up this country through subsidy scams. Did they end that regime? No. We had government after government saying they will end it. $7.5 billion every year. Now, someone comes in, presses that button. That's one. Two, when was the last time you took bursary? When was the last time bursary was paid? Bursary, our students today at 30 years don't even know what that bursary existed. NEL fund came on, an idea of this government, signed into law by this government. As we speak, 720,000 people have benefited with a few waiting in line, stipends and soft loans. So we can go on and on. But I just wanted to say the cup is half full. Why? Because we're seeing the fundamentals of our development changing. We're seeing the recalibration of the economy through strong indicators. And when you talk about, oh, what's happening? See what America did. See what UK did. Nigeria now can come up and say, look, we're also adopting 21st century modern governance to say, look inward. What makes you strong as a country is beyond who your leader is. It's also about the resources you have. And the leader who recognizes those resources and potentials and makes legislations and policies which necessarily would not either benefit or make certain people happy and moves forward to take those decisions.
I mean, interesting. And you are way senior than I am when it comes to journalism. You've seen the worst part of military dictatorship. Right. You authored guerrilla journalism. You experienced how dark it was in the era of the military rule. And so I cannot tell you more about what the average person is feeling in this country. And the feeler is as though this government is very detached from what the average person is feeling. Is it so bad that those of you in power are so disconnected with the average Nigerian?
So let me start from the president. And you also know its antecedents. Is a president that is people-oriented, that is progressive, and is not detached from what is happening. It's not detached from the sacrifices Nigerians are making. He said it severally. I thank you for your perseverance. I know these are difficult times. Go through most of his speeches and extempore remarks. That's a leader that is connected, is not detached. He knows definitely that Nigerians are going through a lot, and he also studies the numbers. He's somebody that applies himself to data, and on a constant basis is tweaking policies. Some of it might not be in public space, right in the public glare, But off the radar, we see consultations, we see reviews. You talked about a survey that came out. So when I see surveys like that, I go to the back end. The back end matters. So you raise certain interrogatories about that survey. What was the survey sample size for a country of 230 million? What is sample size? That's one. What is the margin of error? Have you checked the profile of that company that did it? We saw the survey, and we went to the back end. And we said, well, what we're seeing here is different from what he has put out. The fact is this, Joe. Yes, Nigerians are going through a lot. The cost of living is high. But we've also seen in recent times, we've seen inflation easing down. In recent times, we've seen the cost of food prices coming down. Just yesterday, a survey came into us. We sent people to the grains market and across the country. Not all the food items are coming down, but we can talk about grains, the price of grains really coming down. And then we also have reports saying, why do we have this persistent high cost of eggs and other things? And then the problem of the middleman, the problem of the last mile, all of that came in. And then we started talking about beyond, we don't have price control. The president says, I'm against price control. But then you have enforcement regimes all over. Either in telecom, you have regulators. And then, so we have Nigerians gaming the system. We have Nigerians not allowing the efforts and policies of government to trickle down and benefit the people.
Saboteurs.
Yeah. But recall.
So there are saboteurs.
So, no, not saboteurs. I'm just saying you find them in every, I won't call them economic saboteurs, but I'm saying there are people who make super profits. There are people where you
benefiting
find, where you
from
find,
the pains of the people.
Yes, where you find middlemen, prices go up. Bois, when the president asked them to bring down the price of oil, of
cement.
Yeah, he did. But last month when they asked him, why did you take it up again? He said, well, we brought down the price of cement. But we found out that they were still selling the cement at the last mile at the same high price. So somebody was taking that differentials. And they said, we just felt, well, we did this for the sake of the ordinary people, but they're not benefiting. And we moved it up. So there's a systemic problem on its own. But you see a government that is focused on instituting policies and initiatives that will help to bring down cost and that will benefit the people. And I'm sure as we go along, I can relate certain policies to the benefit that is going to the people. Again, this is a journey. It's a journey. And I keep saying it. This administration has 2 years docked already. It has 2 more years to go in the first-term presidency.
Literally.
Yet,
but in the real sense of it,
people are pulling
not up to that.
They're pulling out the book and saying, make it seem as if a 4-year term. You can't, your son goes to school for a 4-year degree program. You can't pull him out after 2 years and say, oh, you've done nothing. You must give him the benefit.
You can know whether a child will graduate, a student will graduate.
And showing they are clear trackers. They are strong indicators.
If you're going to have a first class, you have it from the first year.
Yes, and
you will be bagging it from the
very
first year.
So for this administration, there are clear markers. There's a tracking system. Let me just say this. You can point to 10 areas of reforms. This presidency is about reforms. We are beginning to see a clear path to recovery. Take the oil subsidy removal. When you flip the page, it's now the oil sector reforms. Without that, the reform in the oil sector, you not have a Dangote there. You not have a naira for crude policy there. You not have the decentralization and the entry of market forces and the competition needed. Every country where you find oil, what has helped to build the dynamics of that industry is market forces, the competition that comes in. For the first time, we're seeing Dangote and oil companies, NNPC, Dangote, advertising the price of oil. And Dangote is even saying, if you buy X number of liters, you will get this benefit. We were never there before. That's what we find in other countries where we compare.
Competition.
Yes, competition. And what happens when you have that competition? The value chain improves. More income comes in. So the oil sector reform, $5 billion for Bonga fields and other areas. So investments are coming in. That's one sector reform that is ongoing. We've also seen what he has done with the NNPC management, a total overall. Whatever you say about the refinery, you've seen a government that has said, look, we cannot be oil producing and not be able to refine, add some level of value. So while that debate is still on, we know that Warri, Port Harcourt and other refineries, part of the mandate they have is to make sure that those refineries are fully back. When I say fully back.
But they stopped working right now.
But also, you look at...
I mean, is there any...
The work is ongoing. Repairs are ongoing.
No, but they've been doing repairs. Yeah, they came on stream the other day.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
The refinery and the equipment were left unattended to. It's like if you park your car for 20 years or 10 years, or even for a year, when you come back, it takes time to crank it up. It's the plugs you need to change. Sometimes you have to even drive it for a couple of miles before you hear some noise. So we're driving the refinery repairs now. It's not going to be up to speed. And those repairs are ongoing. When we took over, oil production was at 900 MPD per day. We've moved from that to 1.3 to 1.7. So that's one. Let me just take education, for instance. And I think Nelfon is an enduring story for this administration and for this country. He's a game changer for our young people and for our education. Look at America. 70% of graduates in America spend the first 4 years of employment, of 5, paying back massive education loans. Whatever we're getting now, you can call it education subsidy, you can call it bursary and the rest. It gives you the scholarship, it gives you stipend. And we're seeing a jump in enrollment and people in school. That's an investment for all time, not just for this generation of young people, but for generation to come. That is trackable. So when I'm saying the cup is half full, I can talk about what's happening with the MSMEs. 46,000 direct jobs created. Last week they had a program where they reeled out what was done. They also brought people that had testimonies about what they have benefited. 2 weeks ago, we were there. The silent agricultural revolution that's taking place under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. 20,000 tractors, 1.5 billion invested in the value chain for, ginger. Because right now, ginger is major. Nobody even knew ginger was that important globally. And then you look at the special agricultural zones being set up. A lot of funds going into it. So the reforms are trackable. When you talk about reforms, you're not talking about from 0 to 100. You're talking about a gradual process from 0% to 15%. And I can tell you clearly that when you take some of these key reforms, they're trackable. We're seeing appreciable progress. Yeah. Are we where we want to be? No, it's going to take time.
The question here, Mr. Dari, is that I think a lot of people had a very huge and a high expectation, thinking that they voted Bola Tinubu, whom they know that exited power in 2007. Where was the Bola Tinubu that would stop in the middle of Festac and meet the woman selling corn? Where is the Bola Tinubu that stopped in the middle of Third Mainland Bridge and assess the work done? Where is the Bola Tinubu that will meet people in Agege and will see what exactly is going on? There is a lot of complaint about the lack of empathy, the disconnection between this Bola Tinubu and a gang of people who are around him and have actually clipped him down and not allow him to connect with the Nigerian people.
Again, Seun, it's a question of perception.
Is there a different Bola Tinubu that from the Lagos Bola Tinubu?
Let me put this on record. The president we have now is somebody that I've known for 27 years. Through the struggle, throughout my media experience, through the struggle against the military, and the fight for the restoration of democracy. I was also privileged to have served him as a special advisor in media and also as his chief of staff. I've spent intimate moments with him. I've been there at critical juncture of this country's development when he had to take a decision. I've seen him consistently stand with the people, but not pander to populist tendencies. If there's anyone that has earned that work and investment to pander to populist tendencies, he can walk the street even today. He can walk the street.
But why is he not doing that? That's a disconnection.
Right now. You see, there's a thin line. Right now, as the president, is not his work. He sees his assignment not as a journey to populism. He sees the assignment as very serious and the need to take timely yet difficult decisions. Here is somebody that has interrogated and related with the challenges of our country's development for over 3 decades. Now he gets the opportunity to be in the driver's seat. And he has the choice. It's so easy to pander to populism. Just show up in the markets, eat the corn. We've seen that trajectory develop with our governors. It's easy to go to the tomato market. The point is beyond that those populist moves. What have you done in terms of policies? So the president has been busy trying to design and implement initiatives and policies.
It's more on the desk than on the road.
No, it's also on the road. It's been there. Why
didn't you go to Mokwa? Why didn't you go to Yawata?
No,
you were the ones who went to Yawata. Why?
When you commission projects, you see, a president can only do much. You know what it is to be a president. Even as a minister, I was always trying to keep up. At the presidency, you need to see the daily itinerary, the number of people that come to see him. And the last time I had an interview with you, and I said, he's still at the desk at 2 a.m., 4 a.m. That was the life we lived before. Even as a president, he's holding meetings till 3 a.m., up till now, and that is verifiable. So remember what Awolowo said in his book, The Voice of Reason. He said, while other men are out there carousing at night, a true leader must be at his desk, thinking, designing policies, and seeing how it can improve the life of his people. So when you look at the life of a president, it's beyond going to the market, because as a president, he also has lieutenants. He has several feedback channels.
But you not answer my question. So why didn't the president go to Mokwa? Why didn't the president go to Yawata when it was needed?
Who asked those that went to Mokwa, the vice president, the minister of information, Nema and the rest? Who gave the directive for them to go? The president gave the directive, and he was clear about it. Beyond the statement that was issued, he gave the directive about the importance of that. This was the same president who was abroad on a foreign trip. And the day he came in the night. The following morning, he was in Maiduguri when the flood occurred. Now, the president can be anywhere. That's why he has a vice president. That's why you have the presidency. That's why you have ministers assigned to certain roles. That's why you have agencies and departments doing certain things. And when it comes to the theory of power, the principle of delegation is key, is very fundamental. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu believes in delegation. If you have appointed certain individuals to perform certain roles, they have their assignments, you delegate to them. You give them the instructions, they report back to you. And I think that's what it's doing.
Sounds like Buhari to me.
No, different. I can say that. Totally different.
Because
okay, look.
Buhari is a master of delegating responsibility.
That's why I said one of the major principles of leadership. Every leadership book you read is about knowing how to delegate, when to delegate, who to delegate. So delegation, when it comes to power theory, is not about shirking responsibilities. Even in a radio station or a television station, you stand at the top as the manager, but you must rest. You must rely on your cameraman, your MCR people, and the rest to get the job done. And that's the way it is. So every leader also has his own style. Oftentimes we're quick to judge, to say, oh, compare. Oh, this person is like this. No, these are two different people. They have two different styles. What is common to both of them is the fact that they are both progressives and they have the onerous task of making this country better for the mass of our people.
So poverty does not know ethnicity, color, or race. Poverty is poverty. If you cannot feed, you cannot feed.
Right.
And I know that Hausa language speaking, your spoken Hausa is in rival with your English language. You may have lived in America.
I try.
And so you know the nature, the sensibility, and the sensitivities of a northern man.
Absolutely.
You know how they feel. And you know that the rating of President Bola Tinubu is at an all-time low with the average northerner.
Where is that?
You want the empirical statistics to that?
Yes.
It's a filler.
Well,
it's a filler that you get. And you are, though an Ogbomoso man, but you have the northern blood running in your veins.
Let me respond.
But the question is,
let me respond
you know how the North feel about Bola Tinubu right now. Does that worry you?
Well, let me respond this way. The perception out there is that the North is not with Bola Tinubu.
Are they?
My response is that the idea that the North is monolithic is erroneous. I was born in the North. I lived in the North for over 35 years before I made it to the Southwest. I built friends. I worked in the North. I schooled in the North. As a journalist, I started reporting from the North. I've interviewed so many top Northern leaders. So without going into the dynamics of the development within the North, let me start by saying every geopolitical zone or region in this country, through its leaders who attain prominent political positions in government, have a responsibility to their own people and to their own region. So starting point is, just like the North, the Southwest, the South-South, the Southeast must first hold up the screening for the leaders who have been in power, who are still in power. What have they done? What are they doing for their people? That's one. Two, you see, the jury is out about whether the North is against Bola Tinubu. Like I said, I don't have any empirical data to that. And I also play a major role in Hausa radio broadcast. I consume a lot of TikTok and social media, whatever. And you can see, just as you find perhaps a tribe or a segment of people in the North who are not happy with certain developments, certain appointments, certain policies in the North, you also find them in the Southwest. You find them in the Southeast. I want to depart from this idea of the North. The North is not Nigeria. Nigeria is about the socio-political zone. It's about the Yoruba man, the Hausa man, the Igbo man, the ethnic nationalities, the Ijaw man. And that's what governance at the highest level is about. That's what Bola Tinubu is about. He's concerned more about what benefits the entire country. Because you see, when you pander to sectional politics, then you lose focus. In fact, it's a script for failure. And we've seen tendencies to try and package and force this administration into that cleavage of, Northern, Southwestern, Yoruba. No, because this president understands, as a statesman and as a progressive, and given his experience, understands that the mandate he got, the assignment he signed for, is a Nigerian mandate. It's not a Northern mandate. It's not a Southwestern mandate. And you've seen the balancing act. You see, in 4 years, there will be appointments. In 4 years, there will be decisions made. We're just 2 years down the road. People are jumping the gun. People are writing the score, the results. You see, what you can have a scorecard that marks progression, but we're having people now giving the results. No, it's not time yet for results.
Let me tell you. Out of the 10 biggest election political numbers in the country, and you're speaking to a political journalist. Out of those 10, you have the biggest states in the North occupying, they're sitting number 6. I mean, in the 1 to 6. You talk about Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi, in terms of voting numbers.
Yeah, voting numbers, yes.
And they've always done it. And don't forget, also, I'm from the North, so I can also tell you, it is only in the North.
The numbers right now.
So I'm doing the numbers. I'm doing the numbers, and I'm telling you, the cultural values, the orientation of the average Northerner is loyal to two people. Loyal to the religious leader, loyal to his sheikh. And in that sense, go to the South, the orientation is so different. The unison or the unification of direction is not there like that in the South. Absolutely. Unlike the North, the Sultan can say one thing and the rest of the North goes that way. The biggest and the biggest voices, the ulamas, you know how the Northern man respect the ulamas, the sheikh, they say one thing and everybody goes in that way.
Absolutely.
I relate so much with a lot of these people, but if all of them are singing from the same hymn book,
so right now,
don't you think that the Tinubu administration second term is in jeopardy?
So right now, I can tell you, Seun, for sure, that they are not singing from the same hymn book.
Really? They're not?
Because
you think the noise is divided?
Off the radar, a lot of conversations, a lot of engagements are going. in a penetrative way. Not just in the north, because I keep saying, look, I don't want to fall into that cleavage. But since we are putting the north out there, engagement with clerics, engagement with religious leaders, engagement with intellectuals, engagement with former public officials in the north to make sure that whatever the fears and concerns of the north are, they are dealt with. You see, it's a delicate game. Because if you have a Nigerian mandate, you must be seen to be fair and neutral. But also, in that neutrality, you are able to pay attention to specific concerns. Because when you look at it, the needs of the North, some of their needs might be different from the needs of the people in the South, for instance, the Ugoni people. So, to say that everybody in the North is singing from the same hymn book, is not right. I can also reel off several sheikhs who have come out beyond endorsement, who have come out to help project the work of government. Again, I think it's too early to start counting the votes right now. And why do I say that? Some of the policies of this government and initiatives, some of them are still ongoing. People are beginning to benefit more. So to start to count the votes now, it's too early.
If we were in the U.S., which you worked for several years, there would have been midterm elections by now.
Yeah, but
and usually
we don't have a midterm election.
But there is also a midterm check on what the administration is in.
Just
in this midterm, by now, the Congress would have been split into rather red or blue as we speak right now.
Yes.
Is either the president is holding on to the National Assembly or he has lost it by midterm.
This president,
some governors will have lost their seats.
As per the midterm report, May 29th, this president is not a question of holding on to the National Assembly. This president clearly has succeeded in recalibrating the economy of this country. He has succeeded in changing the dynamics of our economy with strong indicators. And you know, some of these figures have been out there. That's why I'm not even reeling them out.
But why is the president so less popular than he was 2 years?
Who gave that verdict?
I mean, you saw the API poll.
No, the API poll. Go to the back end.
But you know what they say about the microcosm of the macrocosm.
Again,
you sample.
What is the sample size
from the pond?
So you need to check. You need to check the sample.
When you check, you can drain your whole blood to get your DNA.
You know.
You have to take a sample.
That's what they call selective auditioning. So you have people can decide. Let's even leave perception. Let's talk about selective auditioning. Even when you can see the facts before you decide, no, I will be selective in the kind of content. You can be deliberate in looking for negative content about Bola Tinubu. If you're also deliberate in looking for positive content about his popularity and the rest, you will find it. Because that's part of my work.
How disturbing will it be for you, Mr. Dare?
I search out for content that are positive, content that are testimonials that say, this man is doing something. I deliberately search for them. Because that is part of my work. But I also search for negative. And I find both.
But for the man that you know, he's popular?
Yes.
Bola Tinubu is popular?
Yes.
If you go to the poll today, do you think he can win an election?
Yes.
In today's Nigeria?
Yes.
With the 36% of votes last time?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Are you living in Nigeria?
Last time, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we had an election. Then you had not had the benefit of a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In this country today, we've seen so many converts. Those that said, crucify him. Who is he to remove fuel subsidy? 2 years down the road with Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president, many of them have come back to say, of course, they won't come out. When they say crucify him, by the time they say, he's doing... Close-set supporters who have said, wait a minute. This man he bit the bullet that time for the sake of our country. How many leaders could have done that?
How disappointing would it be for you if it's this man that you've known for several years, about 30 years, this man that you think you understand how his mind is running, and what works in his mind, how damaging would it be for him if he doesn't get a re-election?
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be re-elected
in 2027.
Yes.
What gives you that confidence?
Primarily because from the policies and the reforms he has put in place. And also because, policies take time. When you look at the top economic experts, they give it a time of between 4 to 6 years before you can really see. I'm talking about key policies now, not even initiatives.
That if the voters see
but
those
we have
reforms.
seen, when you look at the alignment of policies touching on key sectors of the economy, look at the solid minerals economy, for instance, lithium and copper and all of this. The size of the world is now. It took this president to give the support, the focus in that sector. Our oil sector, what the story before now is different from what we have. The educational sector, the agri sector, the health sector. As we speak, 5,000 primary health centers are being reinvigorated. Already 1,000 are fully operational. I can go on and on. Let me just, I think by the share, when you sit down and you look at, in just 2 years, you look at the sheer number of policies, the sheer number of initiatives that have been onboarded by this administration, you will see a leadership adept and conversant with development. But more critically, a president that understands that this giant has been punching below its belt, who is now waking up some of those critical things that we prefer to sidestep or just procrastinate about, is beginning to interrogate them and beginning to confront them, the devils that have held this country down. So that's what happens often.
He's looking at those policies are at the detriment of his electability.
Well, see, that's an interesting postulation. So the line I've been trying to draw right from the beginning is that as a leader, you have the choice to choose between embracing populism or forgoing populism and saying, I will do what is right for my country and for my people. And people often say, oh, don't compare us to other leaders. No, leaders are leaders. Lee Kuan Yew and others, Margaret Thatcher and others, they made a difference because they chose the road less traveled. When Margaret Thatcher left, she wasn't the most popular person. But history, Britain looks back today. They pick out some of our policies and they say, no, she was ahead of her time.
And we hear that Bola Tinubu says he wants to be the Lee Kuan Yew of Nigeria.
Well, I've not.
Is that what he mouths?
I've not heard that anywhere. He just wants to make sure that he turns things around, he improves the economy of this country. He's somebody who believes that without a strong economy, every other thing will not work.
But
so
why,
the idea of, I don't know where that
why
came
this
from.
perception that you people are already have a grand plan to write the election result in 2027 and manipulate INEC?
Sean, perceptions can be wrong, and then you cannot call the result of a match even before the referee kicks off the game.
Because there's a view that going into the election of 2027, that Bola Tinubu and the APC does not have a chance.
Sean, you are an experienced journalist, and we know that we've seen over time these narratives being pushed for every election. It's not different. These narratives, there are people whose work is to push certain narratives, and they're the same. When Obasanjo was there, forget the talk about third term, we had the same narratives. It will write the election. It will override this. When the tsunami that took over all the states in the Southwest occurred, narratives. So the narratives will come, but the narratives are not the facts. Like I said, you can't call the result of a football match even before the referee signals the start.
They say if INEC is neutral, that there is no chance on green F for a Bola Tinubu and an APC re-election in 2027. But if you look at what...
So who is making that declaration?
No, that you heard El-Rufai say that they will send the president packing.
Is El-Rufai 110 million Nigerians that will vote? How many voters does El-Rufai command? Even if you command them, can you decide who they will cast their votes for? You know what the Yorubas say? Tobarawo me.
Oh, really?
Rinu me. So let me you see, let me, you brought in El-Rufai, and I have respect for him. But this idea to equate El-Rufai with Nigeria, to equate El-Rufai with millions of votes, I think is an overreach.
Atiku has said it. Peter Obi has said it.
For one El-Rufai, there are several other El-Rufais who command larger votes, better influence, who are key to the transformation taking place in this country. And we're focused on looking at other key Nigerians.
Oh, look at
El-Rufai is not bigger than any other Nigerian because everybody has a stake in this country.
I mean,
we must respect that.
There are those who fear that El-Rufai can bring this government down and can stop this president because he knows he was one of those who helped to form the party.
My response to that would be go and read Obasanjo's book, My Command.
I've read it.
A living testimony to the very essential core of the person we're talking about. You know Obasanjo is former president. Mm-hmm. You know who made El-Rufai a minister? You know that? Mm-hmm. When you talk about the 4 or 5 close-set ministers with him, El-Rufai was there. If you want to list 4 people that know El-Rufai, essentially, when he was at his best and politically, is an Obasanjo. I will stick with Obasanjo's testimony about El-Rufai. You said you've read the book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just one of the millions of people who are going to be watching this.
No, I don't want to make this an El-Rufai whatever.
No,
honestly.
But what was it?
Shall we? You're trying to...
No.
But you see, what I've gleaned from there, you know shifting sands?
Mm-hmm.
That is somebody that can change on you. Somebody who, and I think everybody is driven by interest. Your interest, the moment it doesn't align with mine, you have a right to walk away.
Because he says that he sees that is the point that where it started changing when he sees that this government does not have the interest of Nigerians at heart. And I'm worried,
This is a person who stood up to make sure that power returns to the South. He led that battle. At some point, he went to court to challenge the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. This is a person who campaigned on the platform of APC with Bola Ahmed Tinubu very fervently. This is a person who was part of building up the manifesto of the APC. Listen to me. So we have a journey of 10 kilometers. And this person was part of that journey for 7 kilometers.
He said it was a journey to nowhere. That's why he backed out.
But he was part of that journey.
He said the journey was to nowhere.
He was at the table. It was at the meeting. So when did it occur to him that this journey was a journey?
He agreed and he took ownership. He said he was responsible.
Should we be responsible for the fact that
he called this government a demon, a devil that he helped, an evil that he helped create, and he says that he takes responsibility, but he will also be the architect of sending that demon out.
Everybody tries to look for a scapegoat to justify their actions. But my point is this, and it's valid. You start a journey with somebody. You're part of the foundation. You're part of building the infrastructure. And the infrastructure is ready. The rooms are equipped. You are still in that building. And then when it came to the point of assigning rooms, because you didn't get the room you wanted, you turn around to say, this building is rubbish. Logically, just think about it.
So you don't...
El-Rufai is an intellectual. I give that to him. El-Rufai is an experienced, like he called it, accidental public servant. His record as minister speaks for him. El-Rufai has been a governor for 8 years and has dealt with the dynamics of development, religion, ethnicity, and the rest of them. So I'm saying somebody with that level, with that kind of credential, will now suddenly make a mistake from the start and then almost at the end wake up suddenly. You give people credit and based on their credentials.
You think all of this is you think all of this is selfish?
To some extent, it is.
But
and it's also okay because you're talking about democracy, you're talking about party politics. It's in the nature of politics. Permanent interest, not permanent friends. So when your interest does not align with what is operational, you're at liberty to move, and you must find a narrative, you must find a story to justify your action, and that's what we're finding.
So let's look at this issue, and I'm hoping that you and your friends in power are not experiencing the Greek principle of a tragedy, which one of it is hubris.
Far from it.
Just for a moment, which is one of it is hubris, the pride that comes with power. And you know what Sophocles wrote about it. But your own characterization of the new coalition of the opposition group, the ADC platform, right. You characterize it as purely opportunistic. And you said the leaders are serial election loser. Do you genuinely believe that they have no chance of winning in 2027?
Okay, so with 33, 34 years of, I'll take you back memory lane. When I was when I say hungry for news, to lead the cover of my magazine then as a journalist with the news magazine, I was a correspondent in Jos. And I was one of the tribe of journalists that covered the SDP convention. That was when I came to the knowledge of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. You can do the math. Almost 3 decades. He's been in the political space since then. Now, the jury is clear about what impact he has made. And I want to stay with issues, not personalities, honestly. You need to take the profiles of each of these people, the main promoters of the ADC, and then interrogate their profiles over time. Do they have a right to form a party? Absolutely. Or do they have a right to start throwing stones? No. Where have all the answers been? Why have they not employed those answers and solutions? Some of them have had the greatest opportunities of public service anybody will ever have in this country. So the question is, do they have a right to form a party? Absolutely. Nobody is questioning that. But we have a right, Nigerians have a right to question the fact, do they have what it takes to deliver? Because we have the opportunity to x-ray and to interrogate their performance and what they've done in the past. Or is this just a convenient pathway? And that's the point we're making. When people say, oh, there's panic in the APC, no. Let me make a distinction. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a mandate and was elected to run a country and is busy at that. Some people are busy and their concern is how to run a party. They can well go ahead and run the party. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a mandate to run a country and he will not be distracted from there. The politics can play up. At the start of this, you talk about, in my 30 years, this is the first time I'm seeing a presidential election that is 2 years ahead of us. And you've seen so much. The politics is not being heated up. My own interpretation is that we're seeing the political culture of this country mature. In America, 3 years before the election, you see meetings, you see surveys and the rest. This is an act of political maturity. So there's no panic anywhere. No panic.
But I mean, the cry is still that, and although a lot of people don't like to hear this in government, that Nigerians are hungry. How do you fix that? How can the average person, because the bottom line is that nobody cares about who is in this politicking or whatever. They just want to know that their lot is better, their food is provided on their table, money is in their pocket, they can be able to survive.
See, they also want to know that you have a government that is making efforts, that is working to build a better country. You see, you can either want a country that for a short time, everybody is happy. And then after a short time, you start to struggle. It's like building a house. You either make sure that the foundation is solid, or you do a makeshift foundation. When the storms come, it will fall. Building a new foundation, recalibrating any economy, Nigerian economy, and ipso facto any other economy, comes with certain sacrifices and pains. And this administration has owned up that, yes, some of these policies we know will create pains. Some of these policies will require perseverance. Cost of living for a while will be high, but we're at work to make sure that we elevate this.
Peter Obi thinks that this government has failed in the last few years.
Well, that's the personal opinion by Peter Obi.
He mentioned the issue of debt. He mentioned
which
welfare.
was totally wrong, and he has been corrected severally about the issue of death with data. You don't correct with data.
But is this government worried that the alliance, this opposition coming together, this is like never before? We haven't seen them come together. Those who know APC like the back of their hands, and those who fought APC in the past are all coming together. And Amechi is in the camp.
Do you know that in the first time of Muhammadu Buhari, Obasanjo also built an alliance to remove Buhari called ADC? I can show you the Guardian newspaper, 2017 or thereabout, where the lead story, a coalition built to remove Buhari, called ADC. Nothing that is happening today in our political space is extraordinary. We have been through these waters before. Either the coalition of Nadeco against military rule, or the coalition that came up against Obasanjo, which succeeded in stopping him from a third term, and we don't have a third term scenario. The scenario we have is that the person that has a 4-year term, people are trying to suffocate him out of governance, which won't happen. You see, because you know what they call Ariwoja, the Yoruba narrative. You have a choice as a leader and as a government. You're in the marketplace. You're going to the market to buy tatashe, atarubu, tomato, and onion. So you have a clear agenda. This is what I want to achieve, because you want to cook some nice soup back home. So you either get to the market and go straight to the tatashe seller, onion seller, atarubu seller, and go back home. You'll have achieved. Or you get to the market because there's so much noise. You hold your empty bag and you're listening to the noise. You're talking to them. By the time you finish all that the market will have closed.
But they say what will be extraordinary. But what will be extra? What they say will be extraordinary this time around is that Tinubu will go in the way of Jonathan. That he's going to be sent packing in what we saw in 2015.
I've seen several narratives, and when I see those narratives as a journalist and as a writer, it's normal, because you want to compare. These narratives will be there, but will this narrative turn to reality is another thing. I can tell you for certain, will that be a contest in 2027? Absolutely, because we're going to have an election.
Why?
We want it to be transparent. But will somebody win that election? Yeah. Yes. Bola Ahmed Tinubu will get a second term.
But they say this election will be the people against Bola Tinubu.
That's another narrative. Who are the people?
The Nigerian people.
Oh, no. The people
over 200 million
has been painted now. The people right now has been put forward. The narrative being pushed now. The people are the Atikus of this world. The Erufais of this world. They are mages of the people.
Are they not people?
Where have they earned the legitimacy to speak for almost 100 registered voters in this country? Where have they earned? They should step forward. Where have they earned the power to speak for Nigerian people?
What part of the bear has Bola Tinubu poked? But it does look like he has annoyed the establishment.
So, fundamental question. Look at the reforms that are ongoing. Look at the reforms. Take the oil sector. Some of these things are off the radar. You know how many people benefit from the subsidy value chain? Nigerians from all parts of the country. I don't want to characterize them as the oil mafia or whatever, but we know there are people who even tried to stop that oil subsidy. Let's move closer. The floating of the naira, the arbitrage. Billionaires were created within months under the previous government. The arbitrage was massive. Bola Tinubu had the choice to let it go. Let it go on. Let the party go on. Everybody will have benefited. In any case, it went on that time. But he put a stop to it. In that chain, there are people up to today who will never forgive Bola Tinubu for floating the naira and removing the subsidy from Forex.
And that's one of the anger, the part of the anger.
That's it. You see, it's about, when you're fighting Bola Tinubu, that fight better be a fight about ideas and about his policies, not about some personal grudge. I can identify people who simply are not happy that Bola Tinubu had the temerity to pick a Nigerian, I won't even say a Muslim, as his running mate. There are people who simply, because of some personal grudge, they've seen an opportunity to attack him. Like I said, if you want to fight Bola Tinubu, it's better you fight him on the basis of his policies, on the basis of his convictions. And the leader has a right to have a conviction. Every leader comes and says, this is where I want to go. And you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's why you elected him in the first place.
But why does it look like Tinubu chased out the Buhari boys and is bringing on board the Lagos boys?
Who are the Buhari boys?
Well, the CPC block of the ASPC.
Well, you see, when a new government comes in, and is also constitutional, the right of the president to build his cabinet, you can't take it away. Those he has brought into, I think the first criteria for you to be appointed is the fact that you're a Nigerian. It's not whether you're a Tinubu boy or a Buhari boy. That's the first criteria.
But all of the major pillars of the economy are being manned by the so-called Lagos boys and the Tinubu boys.
Well, as a leader, you must also bring in lieutenants that you trust. When he was governor,
that could only be from his rank.
When he was governor, we have people that served him, and over the years, they've been with him throughout the journey. So, if somebody builds, and we stay within the realm of journalism, you build a media house, a radio station, a TV station. Very often, you will remember somebody you worked with somewhere 20 years ago to say, this guy was the best cameraman I had. Bring him on board. This person was the best interviewer I had. You look for him. And I think every leader does that. So this classification of, my point is this, I don't think there's been any deliberate attempt.
And that's breaking the ranks of the APC so far. Let me give
you an example. In CPC, you had Northerners from North Central, Northeast. You had Christians, you had Muslims, you had Igbos, you had Hausas, Yorubas in CPC. So sometimes when you hear CPC, there's a perception that people try to say, oh, it's a northern thing. It was a party. That's one. Two, in this government, the SGF served Nigeria under Buhari. And when you get these appointments, you take an oath. The oath you take and you sign is not to Buhari or Obasanjo or any president. That oath you take is to the Nigerian Constitution and the Nigerian people who will judge you.
Well, Mr. Adari, how do you are managing, although there are those who have criticized, those of you who manage the image of the president, they think that the voices of dissent are so irritating to you that you go after those who are opposing this government. But how do you cope, though? Because this government is seen as a continuation of what a lot of people perceive as a failure government of Buhari. And that there is no break. That this is just a continuation.
I think if the Buhari administration, if the judgment is that the Buhari administration had failed, we will not have a country right now. We will not have had a successful election.
So Buhari government did not fail?
The Buhari government came on. Every government comes on. You deal with the issues. You give your best. No government is able, and has been able to solve all the challenges of any country. For me, the Buhari government came on, just like the Obasanjo government came, just like the Yar'Adua government, Jonathan government. They met challenges. They prioritized the challenges they were going to confront. They put in their best. The best maybe oftentimes might not have been enough. Some of these problems, they take a long time. So they did what they
This
could
government,
do.
it said it met an economy that was run aground. That was the Buhari government that ran this economy aground.
So, like I said, every government comes in, you don't solve all the problems. No country also progresses without taking loans. The question is, what did you use the loans for? When a new government comes in, you have a right to reset your priorities. You have a right to say, we are going to continue with this. We are going to review this. And that's what we've seen. Saying, we will continue with this, we will not do this. Every government will fall on his own sword based on his performance. But there is no silver bullet anywhere that a president will come on with his team. They will solve the entire problems of that country and move on. Look at when Biden was there. It was like the best thing in town after ice cream is Biden. Now, Trump is there and he's exhuming so many things. But while Biden was there, he did some good work, but he couldn't solve all the problems. And that's the way governance is. In wrapping up is, you look at it, 10 being the highest and 1 and 0 being the lowest. How would you rate this government in the last 2 years that you served under? That's a trick question.
Yeah. I'm giving you an easy, for you to mark.
So I'm with my full chest from a vintage position. And I'm going to just back this up from a very vintage position. First, as a journalist, an investigative journalist of over 3 decades, I've also interrogated the problems of Nigeria over time from an intellectual perspective. I've written about it. I've read reports about developments in this country, various sectors, in comparison to how other countries. For instance, I read what other countries, when they removed subsidy, why they had to remove subsidy, what happened after subsidy. Some countries, it took 4 years before they were able to really stabilize and make sure the cost of living comes down. Because the laws of economics will not change because it's Nigeria. This country, before this country, 5 other countries have removed subsidy. And when you read the story, it took 3 to 4 years before they were able to bring down the cost of living, but a constant effort at addressing those challenges. So my point is, I also haven't been part of a previous government as a minister. And with what I've seen in just 2 years, the production, the ideas, the initiatives, the even some of the results we're seeing, and to couple it up, the boldness and courage. It's only the person who stands in the arena and is facing the bar that knows what is up. You have a president who knows, look, no more Band-Aid. Let's have the surgery. I will comfortably, as we hit the half mark, I will comfortably give the administration 6.5. With the benefit of the doubt that with another 2 years ahead of us, some of this impact, the results we're expecting, will begin to manifest.
So you rate this government 6.5 over 10?
Absolutely.
In performance?
Yes.
Let me finalize by asking you, do you want to be governor of your state?
Another trick question. Sean, right now, I am focused on the assignment I've been given. And why? I think that the question of, or the issue of public communication, of public engagement, of communicating government policies, of making sure that the people understand what government is doing, but also getting feedback to the government. I think that assignment is very critical.
So the ambition,
that is a role.
The ambition of your governor is off.
Is in abeyance for now.
So 2027, you don't have the intention of becoming governor?
No, I do not.
Who would you be supporting?
Well, it depends when we hold the primaries.
Adelabu seems to have shown interest.
Adelabu is just one of the candidates. From what I've read, I am abreast. I know more than 11 other people who are interested in the governorship of Oyo State, and most of them are also from the APC. So the best is you wait. They do campaigns. They'll move around. Someone must pick up the party ticket. If Adelabu picks up the APC party ticket, I will support him.
Do you still think that the Ibadan should have it this time around?
You know, that's a whole huge debate. It's not a question I can answer, but let me tell you, simply put, when you have a particular part of the state producing governors for over 22 years, and the other component parts are there, equally politically strong, Okiogun, Ogbomoso, maybe Ibarapa, you will expect that at some point there will be a contest. And in 2027, we're going to see that contest come up. Of course, everybody will get an equal opportunity. You can't deny Ibadan because they've been there 22 years. They produce governors. So for the Ogbomoso zone, for the Okiogun zone, they will have to get their political acts together. They will have to mobilize. They will have to show some level of political superiority in ideas and organization and mobilization to be able to dislodge. But I think that, for me, I think it's time for that to move around. That governorship thing, it's time for it to move around.
Mr. Sunday Dare, thank you so much indeed for your time today.
Thank you, Sean.
I appreciate it.
Okembaloye.
Thank you so much indeed. That's our conversation with Mr. Sunday Dare, spokesperson to President Bola Tinubu. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching the Macon podcast today. Don't forget, subscribe, follow, and share our content. Until next time, I'm Sean Okembaloye. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Mike On Podcast with Sean Okembaloye. Mike On Podcast for the independent mind.